Time to cook, cook with me. Time to cook, cook with Manny. Okay, so I already have my chicken cut up and I also washed it already. Um, I had four big chicken breasts, so I went ahead and I cut them up. And don't worry about, like, this is skinless breasts, and don't mind my nails either. Ugh. These are skinless breasts, so you can get, like, the size portion that I'm doing. They're pretty even. So if your chicken is not even, then all you would have to do is take one of those little meat pounder pallets thing. For some reason I can't think of the name right now. The meat tenderizer. And go ahead and put each piece inside of like a saran wrap or a baggie and just hit it a few times. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go ahead and get started with the coating. Okay, so these are the coatings that I have over here. I have my breadcrumb, which is the Progresso brand, the Italian style, which already comes seasoned. And I like to also add a few of my own seasonings as well. So I have that over here. And then I also have 4 eggs, just nicely scrambled. Some people like to use egg whites. I prefer just to use the whole egg. If you do want to do it a little bit more healthy, then you can go ahead and get rid of the yolk. Then I also have a plate of flour, which I'm also going to add seasoning to. And then I have just a small bit of Parmesan cheese. And then I have my garlic salt, black pepper, basil leaves, which you should be using fresh basil, but I'm going to use just dry seasoning since this was spur of the moment. And then I have seasoning salt, and I have whole oregano. So that's all that I'm going to use besides regular salt. And let's go ahead and get started, and we're going to do the first step. Okay, so as far as seasoning goes, the first thing that we're going to go ahead and do is we are going to take some of the Parmesan cheese and we're going to go ahead and add it to the flour. We're also going to add the Parmesan cheese to the breadcrumb. And in this step, I like to be pretty generous. I do want to say that I apologize for the much of movement. I'm actually holding my phone. My camera is still in the gutter as well, and I do not have a tripod for my cell phone. So, anyway, so as you can see, I put a generous amount of Parmesan cheese in there. And what I'm going to do is I am also going to add a little bit of Parmesan to the egg, and just a very small bit. Only because that's going to go exactly like right onto the chicken. Now I'm going to take some of my dried basil leaves and I'm going to sprinkle that in the flour as well as in the egg. So if you can see what I'm doing here is I am pretty much using the same flavors throughout the whole entire thing, just in each section. So when you go ahead and you dip your chicken in the flour, it's going to get the seasoning from there, and then it's going to be overlaid of egg. And then the final step is the breadcrumb. So it's all going to come together. I'm also going to put some oregano in both the flour and the egg. And a little bit of garlic salt. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to mix that all up. In no way, shape, or form is this professional. As you can see, I mean, I have a bowl here with a little dinosaur at the bottom. I'm not trying to be professional. I'm just trying to share some recipes that I like to do and that my family loves to eat. And hopefully that can help you guys out. So I'm also going to take a spoon and gently mix around the flour. And you can be a lot cleaner than this. I'm just literally throwing it around. So there's that. I mean, it looks like there's really not that much in it, but there is, believe me. So I'm going to go ahead and I am also going to take my seasoning salt and over my chicken, just sprinkle over the tops of the chicken. And that's just lightly sprinkling it. I mean, seasoning salt tends to have a lot of salt inside of it, hence seasoning salt. But it just gives it a nice kick on the chicken. Or you could throw seasoning salt, that's good too. Okay, so on to the first step of the coating. Okay, so now that we have everything coated, seasoned properly, we're going to go ahead and take the first piece of chicken. Naturally, if you were making this like just for like a supper for a bunch of people or what, you know, this is my family, so I am going ahead and I am using my hands. And so now that we have that fully coated with flour, we're going to put that right into the seasoned eggs. And you can use less, more seasoning, whatever you would like. It's not about, you know, exact how much. It's just how, to your liking, pretty much. So we let the egg drain off the excess egg, and then we put it right into the breadcrumb. By the way, before I even started this, I should have said, but I have my pan of oil on the stove already heating up. I only have it on one. That way it's really low, so I could hike it up right before I get done with all of this chicken. So now that that's nicely coated, we're going to go ahead and just put that on a plate. And I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to do the rest, and I will be right back. Okay, and this is what they look like when they're all finished. And while I was finishing up this, I went ahead and I cleaned my station. As you can see, I got rid of all the ingredients. I put everything away. I wiped down the counters with soap and water, and then redid it with soap and water again, and then just plain water. That way everything was clean and disinfected, because if you use anything else, utensils, anything, even as much as this sponge right here, with raw chicken, it's just contamination and it's just disgusting. So just go ahead and make sure that you take the time to wipe everything. And I am now going to go ahead and set my pan of oil to about a 4 and just let that heat up. Okay, so now I went ahead and I put my chicken cutlet inside of the frying pan. As you can see, the oil is not that high. It's not covering the chicken. It's just merely doing the bottom and a little bit on the top. I'm going to go ahead and let that brown up, and I'm still waiting for it to kick into my 4 dial, but I had it on 1 in the middle of 1 and 2 for a while, so that should start bubbling up a little bit more. So I'm going to do this, and I'll show you what it looks like when it's ready to come out. Okay, so before I go ahead and take any of these out, I am constantly flipping them. So as you can see, it's nice and brown here and brown here. Rather than letting one side cook, I am cooking it for a few minutes, flipping it, letting it cook, flipping it again. I flipped it about 3 times, and now I would say it is about that time to come out. The chicken is nice and stiff on the fork, and that means that it is ready to come out if it will ever come off my fork. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and take this out. I'm going to cook up the rest of these, and I'll show you the next step in the pan in 1 minute. Okay, so now that I have those 2 done, it's just 2 cutlets. I'm going to go ahead and show you what I'm going to be doing with all of them. I do have some sauce that's already prepared. I didn't stress it in this video because I don't want this video to be too long. If you do want a video on the sauce, then just let me know and I will go ahead and dedicate a video just to that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my sauce and I'm just going to put a little bit of sauce in the bottom of the pan, just like that. And try not to make a mess. And then I'm just going to shake that pan around and just nicely coat it. And then I'm going to take my cooked cutlets and just kind of puzzle them inside, just like that. That way I could fit as many. And as the other ones get done, that's what I'm going to do the same thing. And I may have to use a second pan. So that's what I'm going to do. And I will be back when those are all done. Okay, so this is what my pan looks like before I put it in the oven at 350 degrees, preheated. And that's just sauce covering on top of the cutlets. And there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cutlets in this pan.